Hello, welcome to Wide Left Sports. Today I am joined by Bozeman Hawk head football coach Levi Wesche. Coach, how are you doing today, man?
Good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing really good. I just got to start this out by kind of thanking you. I think this is your third time on the podcast, third year in a row, and I just always enjoy talking with you and talking about Bozeman Hawk football. I thank you for coming on every year and indulging me with this.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it. Not many people want to talk to me that often, so I got to take advantage of it when I can.
Awesome. So, what is, I guess, new in the Bozeman Hawk football program in the last year since we've talked?
Our numbers are up. We're up to 100 overall athletes now, so kind of been a slow climb back since 2020 and 2021. So I guess that's kind of new, and um, not much. Try and keep stuff as clean as possible moving forward. So yeah, I wouldn't say a whole lot's changed. New season, new faces, and just trying to adapt to the challenges that we have in front of us.
Oh, that's awesome. So, one thing that I've always loved and noticed about Bozeman High is you guys play with grit. I love that about you guys. You're hard nosed and just a gritty football team. Is that something that you instill every single year, or does that just kind of happen naturally with your guys?
Well, I think it starts in the off season with the weight room. I think it's easier to be gritty if you feel prepared and strong. You know what I mean? And I would say practice is the same thing. Like, going out there, getting a quality week of practice in before a game. If you feel confident, if you feel like you have the answers to the test before you step foot on the field, I think it makes it easier to continue to battle because you believe in what you're doing. And that's the other thing is I think our kids place a lot of faith in myself and our coaching staff to get them in the right spots. And that's the next thing I would say is my coaching staff works extremely hard to make sure we're putting our kids in the right places to be successful, to you know, despite whoever we're playing that week. And we truly take each team, no matter who they are, no matter what their record is. That's our lone focus. We don't work 2 weeks ahead. We don't work ahead. So we played Great Falls High right before we played Gallatin and Crosstown. Like we didn't worry about Gallatin during Great Falls High week. We were completely solely focused on Great Falls High. And I think taking that day to day, play to play, week to week approach, I think that allows us to be gritty. And then we got tough kids that want to be great, and I think that's kind of where a lot of it comes from too.
I love that. So, Bozeman High, year in and year out, is, of course, at the top of the East, but also at the top of the whole state. What do you accredit that to that every year the Bozeman Hawks are able to find that success no matter who's on the team?
I think it's kids taking pride in who they are and what this program stands for. And we talk a lot about the brotherhood. And, there was a time here, Mitch, where we weren't always the top of the East or top, we just weren't. When I got here in 2007 with Troy before we won it finally in 2010, we hadn't won a state championship in 93 years when we won that first one. So it wasn't like we were always there. I think Troy Purcell came in here and laid an outstanding foundation for success. I think he built the weight room back. He developed pride in the program. And all I've done since I've been here is try and instill a lot of those legacies and then try and improve in areas a little bit every year. You know what I mean? Like I try not to fix stuff that isn't broken, but always am trying to find something that we can improve upon. Like maybe we're not good at this, or maybe we could be better at something and work on that. But this might sound old school, but if it's not broken, why fix it? Not that you can't improve it, but if it's not broken, why fix it? Um, and then on the same note, just trying to play to our strengths all the time. So our kids work extremely hard in the off season. Our weight room program, I feel like, is second to none. We averaged 70 kids in the weight room, you know, every day over the off season. And I think that's a pretty incredible number. That's the highest we ever had this off season. So, usually we're between 55 and 60. So our kids were just really after it this year, and then they want to prove people wrong. And I think that's the other thing is there was for a while there before we split. I think Bozeman High was that school that everyone looked at like, oh, they're a small college. They have all these kids. They're winning all this stuff. And everybody kind of hated on you around the state. And I think our kids embraced that. I know I, as a coach, embraced that and be like, if they're hating on us that much, it must be because they really want to be us. So, um, yeah, I like having that challenge. So,
Oh, I love that. So give us a little snippet into your day to day as in the off season. You were talking about the off season workouts. So what is your role during that time? And then what is your players' roles during that time, to get bought in for the whole season?
are you talking during the off season?
Yeah, mainly during the off season, because I know that
Yeah.
that's when you guys really push.
So off season wise, so let's say the season ends whenever. Hopefully, it's a state championship game, but a lot of years it's not. So as soon as season ends, we have our banquet and all state, all conference meetings, but we turn in gear probably the Monday after it's over or Tuesday after it's over. And then we start setting up exit interviews with all of our kids. So I meet with every single player in our program, freshman through senior. They have to sign up at a time with me. And we go through, what the expectations for the upcoming year are. We set some goals together. We just talk about what they love about football, what they don't like about football. I ask them a lot of questions about what can I do as a coach to be a better coach? What can I do to improve our program? What do you think we can be better at? And then I try and take that feedback and use it for the next year, whatever that might be. We went from a 5-day off-season lifting week to a 4-day off-season lifting week because the kids, we started this block schedule and they didn't on the early, that we have a late in day on today on Wednesday. So the kids actually don't start class till 9:35 on these days. So they're like, well, we would like that day to sleep in. So, talked it over with our strength and conditioning coach and thought it was a good idea. So we implement things like that. But so we kind of start this process of reinvigorating the program and letting the kids feel ownership in it right away. Um, and then start giving them some finite goals and direction as to what they're going to do. And then I kind of try and give them nothing to do until about the second or third week of January. I don't want to have them think about football. And we really encourage multi-sport athletes. So try and get as many kids doing other sports. I want them to run track. I want them to wrestle. I want them to play basketball. I want them to play baseball. Lacrosse is really big here. I want them to do other things because you can't replace competition. The weight room's great, but you can't replace competition. So, and then we start third week of January, we start lifts and we say we'd like to see you there 4 days a week. And we do several different rewards for hitting goals as far as weight room attendance and things like that. Um, and so we do shirts. They can earn what we call jersey points because we don't just let kids pick their jersey based on seniority. They have to earn points to earn their jersey number. So that's one thing that's a little bit different, I think, about our program is just because you were number whatever when you were a sophomore does not mean you'll be that number when you're older. You get the opportunity to earn your number through weight room attendance and grades and things like that. And then, yeah, so we try to be very efficient with their time, if that makes sense. We ask for an hour every day. Just come and get a lift and get out of there. Like we don't really do hardly any throwing or anything like that. We'll do a little bit open field stuff where anybody can come, middle of April on. But we try to be very efficient with their time. We don't want to burn them out on football. That's one of my biggest goals is I don't want to burn them out on their love of football. I want them more when it's time to go do stuff to be just itching to get out there and excited to go. So try and be very efficient with the use of their time.
Oh, I love that. So you mentioned multi-sport athlete, and in Montana, that's something that's basically a given. Most kids that are playing football are doing one or two other sports.
Yeah.
So with football, how do you help them one juggle those multiple other sports, but then also help them maybe not burn out? Because I could see that being an issue too if they're just going all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right about that. I think there's a lot of studies that show, sports specialization has led to overuse injuries like crazy in our youth. So I think playing multiple sports is really important. I mean, obviously we don't want to beat kids up year round either. So what we really tell our kids is like as far as your football commitment, you're committed to the weight room and then you're doing whatever else you got going on. And that weight room stuff is going to help you no matter what you're doing. So we're not asking you just to come in and lift weights for football. We're asking you to lift weights for everything. And then, yeah, try not to burn kids out on anything. But I think, again, if you really love football and you get away from it for a while, that when you get to come back is super exciting, right? It's like Christmas Day a little bit. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I worry about limited burnout all the time. We went to a 4-day week, so they get basically we lift early in the mornings in the summer. So we could go 6:15 to 7:15, do a little throwing and be done by 7:45, 8. And then they have all day. But if they're done on Thursday, because we take Fridays off, if you're done at 8 on Thursday morning, you don't have to be back till 6:15 on Monday. You get basically a 4-day weekend every weekend. And I think that's really important. Let kids go be kids. Um, they're not college athletes, they're not professional athletes. And if you don't want them to lose their love of the game, we don't push a bunch of camps on kids. We don't do a bunch of 7-on-7s. We do Bobcat camp, we do the hawk camp, and that's basically the end of what we do during the summer. And yeah, I don't want kids to ever just get tired of football. I hope that they're begging to get back out there when it comes time.
I love that. So you've been coaching at Bozeman for quite a while now.
19
So
years, and this is my 10th year as head coach.
I love that. I love that. So what are some stories you have of kids that maybe came in as freshmen and were not the best football players for whatever reason? And then their senior year, they were just the heartbeat of the team. They were one of the best players.
Oh man, there's a lot.
I'm
Um,
sure there are.
there's actually more than you would think, and some of our best players aren't necessarily good freshmen. And I think that's what kids that don't play football as freshmen, or people that say, "Oh, you're too small right now." Like you have no idea what that kid's going to be physically or athletically by the time they're a senior. So, um, gosh, I'm trying to think of my favorite ones, but there's a bunch of them. We got one right now that's starting for us that has just come a mile, and his name's Bobby Pratt. Um, you know, just wasn't a great athlete as a younger kid, but he has put in the time. He has completely changed his body. He's lost something like 50 pounds. Um, got in the weight room, owns the weight room. He can run now. He can move. He's a great puller. He can do everything. And I think Bobby's exactly one of the reasons why people need to stick it out for all 4 years is because you don't know what you're going to be and you don't know what your role is. And now this kid's a captain on our team as a senior. You know what I mean? And didn't play it down to varsity football till this year, but he
That's
kept,
awesome.
kept chopping wood and carrying water every single day. And it's pretty impressive now to see the things that he's doing on the field. So, right. I mean, right there. And then I would say another one for us this year too is Oscar Glick. He was a safety. He started off free safety, then moved to boundary, like our boundary safety. And now he's playing linebacker and started every game for us at linebacker this year. And, and he's a heartbeat of our defense. And kid didn't even play as a freshman because he thought he was too small, and came up to me during gym class one time. I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I try out for football?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, come on out." And now you're looking at a kid that's started 5 games this year, and um, having a pretty dang good season. So those are just two examples right now that I can think of kids that are you'd have never thought, and now they're there kind of dominating everything.
Oh, I love that. So my next question is, you know, the Bozeman schools are very good at getting their kids to the next level. What do you attribute that to? Do you attribute that to the kids being just really athletic, or do you attribute that to the work they put in, or what is that attributed to where a lot of your athletes are going on to the next level?
Well, one, God-given talent. Like you can't teach height and you can't teach speed. You know what I mean? That stuff is a lot of that is God-given. Now you can improve speed, but I mean, you're still going to be genetically limited in whatever you had. So yeah, I hate to say this, but good genetics is definitely a large part of that. I would say the next thing though is developing the mental toughness and ability to perform under pressure. Because if you don't play well in games, you can be as athletic as you want and have all the gifts in the world, but if you don't perform on game day, it really doesn't matter. And I think our kids have always found a way to perform on game day and put out great film. And I get a lot of people that are like, well, you're so good at turning out. It's not us. It's the kids. They put in the work. They ask us questions. We try and guide them the best we can. But at the end of the day, it's all on them and what they do. And our kids have worked extremely hard to get to where they're at. I think last year it was us and Missoula Sentinel. I think we're tied for the most Montana kids in the Brawl of the Wild. I mean, the two teams combined. And I think that's just a tribute to we have kids that want to play college football and they want to grow up always wanting to be cats
Yep.
because that's just where they're at. So I think that helps them be more driven maybe than other places where it's not as visible. But they work hard. They work really, really hard to get to where they're going. And like I said, good genetics doesn't hurt either. So, um, but yeah, I think it's a combination of great genetics, hard work, and then ability to perform when the lights shine the brightest is kind of how they get there.
I love that. So that kind of leads me into my next question with you bringing up the Brawl of the Wild. Having the Bobcats right in your backyard and having them so bought into your guys' local programs, how much does that help you as well?
Well, I think it helps a ton, and um, they've always been very accepting up there. Like if we ever wanted to go up there and clinic or watch practices or whatever, like super accommodating. Every single head coach since I've been here has been great about that, and Coach Vegan's an awesome dude. I got to coach Jory Choate, Jeff Choate's son. So yeah, they've always treated us very well. And I think that's a big part of it. Um, and again, I think football is big in Bozeman partially because cat football is so big. More kids want to play because they want to be cats someday. So whichever the side of the line you're living on right now, you know, kids want to be bobcats. You go and go to a game and be around that atmosphere. And why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, and people that aren't from Montana don't understand. Like we don't have a professional sports team. We have the Cats and we have the Grizz. And if you play for either one of those teams, that carries weight for the rest of your life in this state. I hear all the time, well, oh, he was a Cat or oh, he was a Grizz, and sometimes it probably doesn't have any bearing on anything, but it does carry weight in this state, and um, so I can totally understand why it's important to kids, and probably should be.
Yeah. So then with that, how neat is it for you as the head coach of the high school team to have so many kids right down the street and at the school in the hometown to where you can, still see them play and get to watch
Yeah.
them beyond high school?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. You might not know this about me, but I'm a bit of a homebody. So I watch. My wife goes to cat games, and my son and I stay home and watch on TV because she loves the atmosphere, and I hate being crowded. So, um,
And they are very crowded. I've been to quite a few games. They're
I,
very
I am a
crowded.
I am a I'm a wide human being, and I do not like people bumping into me. So, um, I go to about one game a year because I like to go with my wife, and it's her thing, and she really enjoys it. But for me, selfishly as a head coach, I love when our kids are on TV every weekend and I can watch them. And it's the same thing in the frontier too, though. I don't want to just say it's the Cats and Grizz. It's we got almost all the frontier games are now televised either through YouTube or whatever. And so I get to see a lot of my guys play, and that's an extremely special thing for me. And um, yeah, I love this game so much, and it's pretty awesome when you got kids that love it like you do, and want to continue to be a part of it. It makes you feel like a coach. Maybe you're doing something right. So, yes, love watching them compete. Love that a lot.
That's awesome. So as we kind of wrap up here, do you have like a mantra for this year for your guys' team? And what is your hope? I know it's always going to be the state championship, so that's out of the question. But what is your hope for the team this year?
Well, our mantra is always the same, or at least it has been since 2018. And our saying is be uncommon in everything we do. It's easy to be average. It's easy to lose. It's easy to be below average. You just float through life or whatever. But it takes a little something extra to be dedicated to yourself and your teammates. It takes a little something different to be willing to sacrifice maybe the position you want to play for the position you have to play. Takes a little something else to sacrifice touches so the game can the team can be successful. So we talk about being uncommon a lot. You can apply it to any part of your life. Be uncommon in the classroom, be uncommon in your preparation, be uncommon in your effort. But we really push be uncommon as much as we possibly can in everything we do. And as long as I continue to be the head coach here, I don't ever see that changing. So that's our mantra. And as far as our goals for the season, it's always the same thing. Is I want to be able to look back at the year and say we tapped out our potential, state championship or not. I want to know that we squeezed every ounce of potential out of out of that team. And sometimes years that's going to be a state championship. And some years you're going to look back and go, you know, we weren't a state championship team, but man, we got every ounce of whatever we could get out of that team. You know, and one of my favorite years of coaching ever was we went 6-5 or 5-5 with our 2021 team. We only had 57 kids out. You know, we had 8 seniors or something like that. Started a ton of sophomores, and we managed to take second and get a bye in the East. And to be straight up, that was one of my most rewarding years as a football coach, because that team, they squeezed every ounce of everything they could out of that group. And it's definitely one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. But we were only 5-5. So the wins mean very little to me. It's did we reach our potential and get everything we could out of that year?
I love that. And then my final question is, what piece of advice do you have for the young kids in the state that want to play football, whether that be for Bozeman or wherever they're at in the state of Montana?
You know, play college or just play high school?
Play high school and then go on to college. Yeah.
Okay. Um, don't be afraid of hard work, and don't be afraid to be tested. I think football is hard. You know, participation in wrestling go down. I think wrestling is the hardest sport you can do in high school, without a doubt. And I would say football is probably second. But you're going to be physically tested. I always tell our kids the only day you truly feel good is the first day. And then every day after that, you're fighting to find a way to quiet that little guy in your mind that says it's okay to take today off. It's okay to go a little bit easier. But if you can find a way to master yourself and stay disciplined, there's a lot of ways to play college football, and there's a lot of spots on the field for high school football. But the guys that are tough, the guys that can show up every day and be reliable, those are the guys that are successful in the end. We're not the pros. If you don't practice, you can't get better. And you will find yourself backsliding quickly or never reach your potential. So you got to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of, well, I want to hang out with my friends tonight, or tonight with my girlfriend's night, and not know I'm going to watch an hour of film maybe. Or, man, you know, I'm going to stay up late and play video games, and I don't feel like getting up and going to the weight room. No, you need to put the controller down, go to sleep, get up and get the weight room done. You know what I mean? Find those little battles. Winning those little battles within itself is really, at the end of the day, if you can start, they say 21 days to build a habit. If in 21 days you can figure out how to do that stuff all the time, then it becomes second nature, and you're not going to know how not to do it right, and you're not going to know how to quit, and that's going to make you successful on the field.
I love that. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for, again, always coming on and talking with me. And I wish the Hawks the most success this year. And just again, thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.